Chaos is here in NTE and you're here to learn more about him, how to build him, and what are his best teams and everything in between. Welcome to my complete Chaos guide where we'll be going through exactly all of that to help you quickly get him ready for your account. I'll also have a simple rotation combo guide that you can copy and try right away on your own. Use the timestamps for your convenience. And with that said, let's get into it. Just real quick before we start, if you're looking for the best deals for top-ups in games like Neverness to Everness, I'd like to share with you the website I usually use, which is Loot Bar. Loot Bar is very direct. They offer the best prices for the same top-ups you'd find in-game. You can see how much you save right beside the price tag here. You can actually save quite a good amount, up to 25% if you register now with my link and use those new user coupons too. What's best for me is how easy it is to set up. Simply click on my link in the description, register an account if you don't have one yet, select any bundles you would like, complete the payment, choose self top-up, log into your account. Now this is secured since it is set up as a one-time cloud device, so you don't gotta worry about that. You'll then see your account in-game on the browser, go to the store and click on the bundle you purchased. You'll be able to redeem it right away and voila, you'll have your resources. Then simply log out, your data will be automatically cleared. If you would prefer not to log in, there's even a direct top-up feature where if you bind your email to your game account, you can enjoy direct top-up without logging in even. All the more convenient. I've been using Lootbar for almost 2 years now and I have had no issues, and they also have thousands of great reviews on Trustpilot. Lootbar's been around the block. They're also used by multiple other big name creators too, so you have no complaints from me. Just as a side note, Lootbar also has official CD keys on sale for some really big Steam games like Art Raiders. You get up to 80% off for these keys, so yeah, check it out. If you're interested, click my link in the description and give Lootbar a shot. It does help me out a ton as well, so I'd appreciate that. To start with a summary, Chaos is a Lakshana element main damage dealer. He's currently the best in Remora related teams like in the Charge team of Chaos, EMC, Hathor, and Zhou. A team like that would allow for consistent outgain and smooth rotation thanks to the Charge effect. Chaos can also be used in mainly Remora teams with just a trio of Chaos, Hathor, and EMC, with the final ally being any general buffer like Haniel. You can swap out all the related characters in these teams as long as you can work towards triggering Remora and the eventual Charge if you're playing him in a Charge team. On top of that, Chaos has a passive that enhances the Remora effect, where he will deal great damage based on the duration of Remora. This helps out Remora teams and it really makes the effect even stronger, making him a really strong character all around. The core gameplay involving Chaos is ridiculously simple as well. You just have to use his basics, skills, dodge attacks, and ults to build up crime, and crime here is the energy bar right above his HP that you can see. Once you max this crime, hold basic, and Chaos will consume all crime to deal massive damage. Chaos' skill and ult also has an effect that marks enemies with the warrant state, and Chaos will deal increased damage to these marked enemies. By the way, the best part about Chaos is that if you click G, he can wear his mask. Yep, that's my favorite part about him, and I'm sure it's yours too. He looks so cool with the mask, dude. With that said, let's dive deeper into his kit now. We'll start with his basic, which is his main source of damage output. He has a simple 5-sequence basic, and each hit will build up Prime. Prime, as mentioned, is the bar right above his HP bar. Once you max this crime, you can hold basic to perform the final verdict attack. This is where Chaos will consume all crime and deal massive damage output. If you don't have max crime and you still do this, Chaos will not consume any crime and he'll just do way less damage, so you won't ever want to do that. Next will be his skill. This skill doesn't hurt too much but inflicts the warrant state on up to 2 enemies for 15 seconds, and it also gains you some crime. The warrant state though allows Chaos to deal 20% increased damage on enemies with the warrant state, and thanks to this second passive actually, Chaos will deal 30% increased damage instead of 20% to enemies with the warrant state. Pretty straightforward stuff. Next will be his ultimate. Chaos will inflict warrant to all enemies within a range and enter an enhanced mode himself. During this enhanced mode, Chaos will gain massive amounts of crime just by being in this mode. This allows Chaos to do his final verdict attack way more often to deal high damage way more often too. All of this shows how with Chaos, you really just want to mark enemies with the warrant effect, get his ultimate, spam his basics, hold basic when his crime is maxed, and that's it. That's all you have to do with him and he'll do the most damage. The final part about his kit that you have to take note of will be with his first passive. It enhances the Remora effect, where it will deal high Lakshana damage based on the duration of the Remora effect that you've landed. You will trigger this effect naturally as you play him in a team with the Remora effect, and the damage is good, but it's more like a good extra on top of what Chaos does usually with his core mechanics. It's great to have, not the main gameplay, and it certainly makes Remora a much better Esper cycle effect though. With that said, it seems pretty clear that Chaos Chaos is supposed to be used in a charge related team, or at the very least a Remora related team. His best allies will be characters that are involved in the charge Esper cycle. So characters like Zhou, the MC, and even Hathor are characters that are great, especially with the case of Hathor. She herself also has a Remora enhancement effect, which makes her really good when paired with Chaos, which does want to trigger Remora too. The playstyle with Chaos will be simple, where your entire team is trying to set things up to trigger charge in order for Chaos to eventually jump in on field and stand on field for quite the extended period of time, destroying enemies while trying to gain crimes, getting his ult ready, and getting more crimes in order to use his final verdict a bunch of times. A very simple character indeed. Now to understand what he does, it's time to take a look at his builds. To start with his best arcs, the top choice is obviously Signature, providing a great 20% Lakshana damage increase and even a 40% crit damage increase while providing crit rate as the main stat. It's not hard to continuously trigger all the effects, making this a perfect arc for Chaos. Alternatively, you can consider the Hunter Supplies Fluff of Ferocity, which isn't too bad, but because of its shorter effect duration, you may have issues keeping the buffs up. Other than that, you can consider the Purple arc A Time Will Come, but you will have to use 3 elements in your team, which is easy if you're playing a charge team with Chaos though. Lastly, you can consider the Free Camellia Society, but it's very unreliable to trigger its effect with Chaos, although the main stats are helpful at least. Now in terms of its cartridge, you'll be looking for the 4-piece Street Boxer set with the main stats of Lakshana damage, then attack percent or crit damage. You can consider crit rate if you're running a non-crit rate main stat arc, just make sure you don't overcap on your crit rate though. As for substats, you'll be looking for damage bonus, then crit rate crit damage, or attack percent, then flat attack. Do remember to not overcap his crit rate since he does gain a lot from his signature arc, also from his ally in Hathor, and also with his set as well. There's a lot of crit rate for him. Now then, let's talk about his skill priority. Obviously, you want to upgrade both his passives first, then prioritize his basic, which is his main source of damage, then ultimate, then his skill, and finally is his support skill. The skill and support skill aren't as important though, those are not where his main damage lies. Now then, let's dive into his teams. Chaos's best teams currently will be the charge team that features Chaos, the MC, Hathor, and Zhou. You can choose to swap the MC with say Hattori or Chiz, or say swap off Zhou with Nanali, or even swap off Hathor with Skia as long as the elements make sense to trigger charge. Although you do have to play differently to trigger charge consistently, and that might not be as direct, and for some cases, especially with characters like Hattori and Chiz, it may feel less convenient and more swap reliant. It's not the most easy team to set up. Now the team that makes the most sense and is the simplest though will be Chaos, the MC, Zhou, and Hathor, since you'll likely be using other characters in other teams anyway, and they might not be as simple to use. This team's logic is simple. The MC will trigger Blossom with Zhou, and then you'll trigger Remora with Hathor or Chaos as the fight goes on. You can use the MC to also trigger Remora if need be, allowing for easy charge. The charge helps Chaos gets his ult quicker, which means he gets to enjoy his ult's enhanced state more. By doing so, he'll be able to dish out more damage output. It's simple, it's smooth, and nothing to complain about. So let's just show how you'd play that team. To start with part 1 of the combo, use the MC first with the ult and skill. You actually want to go into Hathor right now, use her skill as well here to get some feathers, which triggers Remora too. Then swap to Zhou, use her skill and then her ultimate, hold her basic for the charged attack. As she starts shooting, you want to swap into Chaos. Use his skill to land a ward state, then use his ultimate. Now you get the enhanced state, and your crime charges up significantly faster. When it's maxed out, use the charged attack for massive damage, and if it's not maxed, attack with basics until it is. That'll be the end of part 1 of the combo, where mostly you're just setting things up so you can consistently apply charge later. Now for part 2 of the combo. Once your cycle gauge maxes, swap into the MC to trigger Remora. Now use the ult and the skill. Swap into Zhou to trigger Blossom. That will be the easiest way for you to trigger charge. After that, you want to use Zhou skill and her ultimate, then hold basic just like usual. Then swap into Hathor, use her skill for her feathers. It should be maxed by now, so use her ultimate. Now go into Chaos, use his skill. You can use his charged attack here too if you have max crime, otherwise just use his ultimate. Then do the same thing of spam basic until max crime, then charge attack for massive damage. Do it till you max the cycle gauge again, and rinse and repeat, but you only have to repeat part 2 of this rotation. Part 1 is only to set it up so that you can get the charge consistently. And because you can trigger charge consistently, you get more ult usage, you get more damage output in the long run with Chaos. The thing is though, you don't have to stick to doing exactly this combo tightly. Feel free to adjust based on the stage you're fighting. As long as you can trigger charge, you'll do fine. This is a team that is honestly very smooth to use and performs pretty well. It's not exactly the simplest team though, since you do want to work with multiple different Esper cycles, but it's not ridiculously tough to handle. And that is pretty much his best team. To talk about some alternative options though, you can consider him in a pure Remora team, using only the MC, Chaos, Hathor, and someone general like Haniel. But this team is way easier where you just want to trigger Remora and get as much damage with Chaos as you could after buffing him with the general buffer. It's not that hard to handle and it's pretty straightforward, so I won't be showing like the rotations for it. As long as you can get the Remora to happen, you'll be fine. Any other teams though beyond using the charge effect or the Remora effect will be kind of questionable. I think you won't be running too far away from using these two Esper cycle effects. Now you may be able to swap off some of the characters for some other characters with the same element, which just means you're still playing Chaos in the same style, just with different characters that has different combos. What I've showed you though is something that I would say is the easiest and simplest. You can definitely use some other characters though, and feel free to experiment. With all that said, let's finally get into his awakenings. His best value improvement will be his 6th awakening, which allows Chaos to gain max crime upon using his ultimate. This immediately means a high burst of damage output. If you're able to empty his crime, then use his ultimate, empty his crime again with a charged attack right after that. Overall, it's quite a strong damage increase, but do note that if you don't mindfully spend his crime and maximize his crime gain, it won't be as incredible. As for the rest of his awakenings though, they're actually not as impactful, but the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th awakening can all contribute to solid damage increase. Nothing out of the world though. His 1st and 4th awakenings are more niche and they definitely won't be a priority as of current meta. So I would say you want to prioritize getting one duplicate of Chaos to unlock that 6th awakening, then get his signature and stop right there. Unless if you just love him a lot, feel free to get all of it. As a quick conclusion, I think Chaos is a pretty strong character. I also do actually think he could get even better in the future with different characters being released that can perhaps say become like a better Hathor maybe. Even without that though, this seems already fairly completed. You can trigger charge and that's the soul of what Chaos would want to prefer. Getting charged to get a lot of ults, getting ults to get a lot of damage output. I will say I don't think Chaos will stay being the strongest character of all time forever, just like any other characters, which also means he's not exactly like a must pull level of character. If you already have enough teams to beat all the endgame stuff that's strong enough, like say you have the Lacrimosa, you have the Nanali Hotori perfect team, you have to force yourself to get someone like Chaos or else you fall behind. I don't think that's the case. But if you're just a fan of Chaos though, he's actually very simple and smooth to use, that I do suggest anyone that prefers a simple team to try and use him. But then again though, I would argue that Lacrimosa is also just as simple, if not even easier to use. It's not a hard game honestly, so people should just decide based on whoever they love. That's what I would suggest the most. But yeah, long story short, not a must pull character, definitely not the weakest one too. And that'll be all for my Chaos guide. I hope I helped you out and good luck with your Chaos pulls too. I'll be posting more on NTE, so do drop me a follow if you'd like, and that'll be all for now. Take care.